What's up, you guys? Chet-Guthrie, the Dream Poet here, coming to you all with another fun-filled video for the haunt season here in St. Augustine, Florida. And today, guys, while everybody is out and about, we are going to talk about another cemetery that is also perhaps another one of St. Augustine's most haunted. And that cemetery is none other than the Tolomato Cemetery. You see, guys, there is a reason why this is called the Tolomato Cemetery. You see, prior to this being a cemetery, when the British started coming in here in the 1760s, there was an Indian village on this exact site. Now, when the British came through, well, these Tolomato Indians, they abandoned the site. Also, this area was frequented by a church with Franciscan monks that inhabited this exact site as well. Now, this became a cemetery when the British took over, and Minorcan colonists, after a failed attempt to colonize New Smyrna Beach at the time, they requested that their burying grounds be constructed here. I want to mention, however, that when they constructed a Catholic cemetery on this site, they had actually constructed it on the grave site of the Tolomato Indians as well. This grave site, this cemetery, went on for quite a bit of ways. You see, this big giant gate here, this wrought iron gate, this has only been here since maybe about the 40s or the 50s. It has not been here long. So where I am walking on right now is quite possibly the graves of the Tolomato Nation. So perhaps that is why there is so much tragedy and death surrounding this cemetery. You see this big tree in front of us? Right here in the middle is probably where one of the best known ghosts in the city of St. Augustine has been spotted. And that is the spirit of a little boy. Now, what people believe is this tree was very small at the time, and he had fallen and snapped his neck. And in the irony of all this tree that this young boy fell out of, he's buried right here. Yes, this little boy's name was James, and he was only about 7 or 8 years old when he oh no, he was 4.5 years old when he fell from that tree, which is right over here. But yes, his spirit has been known to sit on the top of those branches and look down at people. And it is said at this spot right here, if you have a small child and you are looking here at the cemetery, chances are your child might be playing with an imaginary friend. However, this may not be an imaginary friend. This may be little James trying to play from the other side. Now, this leads us up to this next ghost story. And now, I have had first account of this. I've seen it myself. But here, in this spot, right here, amongst these trees, and this spot right here, it is said that there has been a black shadow figure that tends to frequent this spot. He'll zigzag in this area right here, and he'll wander along the headstones. Now, how I say, like, I know this firsthand, is when I was giving a ghost tour one night, it was only 2 people, and this old man was sure out of his wits that somebody had broken into the cemetery and that the cops needed to be called. By the time we got over here, there was nothing. So I have first-hand account that I have witnessed something like this. And of course, you have that big giant mausoleum. Now, this mausoleum right here, this mausoleum was home to St. Augustine's very own exploding priest. You see, there was a priest during this time. He was very, very well known amongst the people of St. Augustine. And when he died, well, they put his body on display. As per tradition within the Catholic Church, they present the body of the priest or someone of very higher power, I guess you could say. And anyway, Days passed. The hot Florida sun buried down further on this priest's body, until one day people began to smell a very horrific smell. They got closer to the priest's body. Then boom! The priest exploded, thus causing the mourners to have to clean up this body. Now that is not so much a ghost story, but is very well known here in the city of St. Augustine. And I figured, you know what, I'll tell it, since we are also at another very, very haunted cemetery. Now, if you do want to read up the history while you are here in the city of St. Augustine, or you decide to come out here, this is what you want to look for. This kind of gives the history of the area. And let me see. Oh yes, that priest's name was Father Felix Farilla. That's what his name. And actually his body was exhumed, was re-exhumed and buried in Cuba. But this plaque kind of talks about the British period, the first Spanish period. This cemetery has a lot of history attached to it. But also, just like with the Huguenot cemetery, there is also a lot of death here as well. Like I said, the Tolomato Indian burial grounds were here prior to this. One of those places most notable is the old drugstore from 1886, which is now the Potter's Wax Museum. By the way, if y'all are curious, this is Henry Flagler. He is one of the reasons why St. Augustine, modern St. Augustine, is the way it is now. But through these walls, since we are standing on top of the Tolomato burial grounds, is when this was still a drugstore, and even now they would get a lot of activity. They would see shadow figures at the corner of the room. They would get stuff, vials thrown at them. And well, even they did find the headstone of the Tolomato chief himself. Now this headstone is right here. However, we really can't see it too well. It actually looks like they're working on it quite a bit. But once they placed this headstone out, the activity actually slowly subsided and calmed down. However, when this became the Potter's Wax Museum, it was taken, and the activity has only gotten worse since then. So, is the Tolomato Cemetery cursed? We may never know. Although, there are bodies buried beneath our feet right now. There was actually a study done in St. Augustine that you are never within 5 feet of a dead body. From its history of bloodshed, piracy, Spaniards, Americans trying to conquer young St. Augustine, this city has been fought with bloodshed. Anyway, guys, remember, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Always means a lot. Goes to show that y'all care and that y'all want to see more awesome videos. So without further ado, you guys, vlog over.